joined. I think thanks everyone for making it, right? Being probably the last month and the last week of the quarter. And I think the kind of the topic today, it goes well with the festival which is kind of coming up. So Truecaller being our one of our key partner, we have kind of discussed that, hey, they have some new offerings on how the festivities campaign or campaigns towards related to festival which are coming up is something which our businesses or enterprises can kind of leverage. So we have kind of come together to share more on those lines, right? So we have three speakers from Truecaller, right? Abhiksha, Pallav, and Rigdev. Probably we'll start with a quick introduction. Before that, I think I'll just introduce myself. I missed that. So myself, Amir, I take care of customer and product marketing at Horizontal. And it's a joint initiative which we are doing today with Truecaller, which is one of our key partners, as I mentioned. And what I'll do is I'll just introduce, leave it to Abhiksha, and probably Abhiksha, Pallav, and Rigdev can introduce themselves a bit. And then I think we can get started. While we do that, in between, wherever you have any questions, please feel free to put on the Q&A chat. Right, we will kind of pick it up once the session or once the conversation is over, and I think we'll kind of address that. Right, so over to you, Abhiksha.
Cool. Thank you so much, Amit. Hey, everyone. This is Abhiksha Mishra, and I lead product marketing for Truecaller for Business, and excited to be a part of this session, and hope you guys are excited too. Rick, if you could introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, this is Rigdev Bhattacharya. I'm part of the enterprise product team within Truecaller for Business. I lead the product offerings for verified campaigns, which is one of the launches that we have made recently. Excited to talk to you guys about that product little down the road.
Thank you, Rick and Avipsha. Hi, this is Pallav. I lead business marketing for Truecaller for Business. This is something that we have been long planning to do and largely bring to the larger ecosystem, talking about how we can work with you and you could actually leverage our solutions during the festive season. So we have put in our research and little bit of thought pieces together so that we have done a specific custom solutioning during this specific festive season, how you could leverage us and find value of it. I request Avipsha to kick off the overall agenda that we have for today. And of course, if you have questions and other things, do feel free to put it in the chat. I will be taking up questions once we finish. So again, don't wait for it to end. You can put it in the chat because a lot of times in thought and transition, you might miss it. Just for the general house rules, we will take it at the end so that the speakers are able to finish what they want to actually convey largely from the theme that we have. So yeah, over to you, Avipsha. Let's get started.
Great. Thanks a lot, Pallav. So welcome everyone. And as we all know, we are just right at the start of the festive season. There's Dussehra coming in, there's Diwali coming in, there's a lot of stuff, exciting stuff that is going to happen in the Indian consumer space soon. Right. And we all know how crucial this festive period is for businesses, especially in India. Right. But you know what happens with intense competition? It is always a challenge for marketers and customer experience professionals like ourselves to break through the noise. Right. And the key question that always is on these people's minds is, how do you stand out from the crowd? Right. And on your screen, you can see some very interesting figures, right? And India, as we all know, is a ever-growing digital economy. And at the heart of it all is the Indian consumer, right? And research, so this is a research that we saw from Redseer, which says that, 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase from brands that offer personalized experiences, right? So what does this tell us? This tells us that, personalization as a concept is just not a buzzword anymore. It is something that is being expected out of brands like yours and ours, right? And it has become an absolute necessity to personalize whenever you're talking to your consumer. And if your customer engagement is not personal, you're clearly missing out on a massive opportunity. Now let's look at the great Indian festive opportunity that we have. As I mentioned, we are standing on the cusp of the great Indian festive season, right? It's a season of festivities, shopping, and across sectors like BFSI, e-commerce, retail, automotive, you just name it. And everyone wants to reach out to customers in the context that they want, that caters to them, and in the way and in a way that is personalized to them, so that the intent is always to captivate the audience and naturally to get more conversions, right? You can see a lot of the interesting facts on your screens, and this clearly just states that we are in the season of the biggest, grandest window of the year to boost sales and revenue. Okay, and we know what is driving this demand, right? So, research says that over 68% of Indians shop only during the festive seasons, especially the younger demographic, which is aged between 18 to 34. That is what is driving the demand, right? At the end of this all of these complex numbers, this just tells us that the festive demand in the country is huge. And this is a time when brands are looking to do three things, right? They want to capture attention, they want to captivate their audience, and at the end of the day, drive maximum conversions. But despite the festive boom and the lot of opportunities that are out there, we marketers and customer experience professionals, we do face some challenges. At the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to drive improved customer experience. We want to increase customer loyalty through all the engagements or enhancements to the engagements that we do, right? And as we'll see in today's session, customer expectations are higher than ever. And the festive season, especially the festive season, puts a lot of pressure on marketers and CX professionals to meet these demands. One of the ways to meet these demands is, of course, enhanced customer insights, because the more insights we have, the more contextualized and personalized we will be in the way that we cater to the audience. Okay. Now, all of us know that when it comes to the digital media and the social media, a lot of these channels have already been covered. Okay, but there is a lot of disruption that we have already seen in those channels. But when it comes to calling and SMS area, in fact, there has been its own sort of challenges, and especially when it comes to business calling, it has its own set of challenges. We at Truecaller, we deal with calls and SMSs throughout a day in and day out. It's our bread and butter. And what we have found out is that 70% of business calls are rejected or missed just because the customers do not know who is calling them. And with the festive season here, we all know that frauds and scams and impersonations will be at an all-time high because everyone is trying to capture the attention, right? So when we are calling them, it is always a question that who is calling me? Can I trust this person? Is this a real brand or a real person calling me? Is this even worth my time? And most importantly, is this a trusted and a safe communication? Right? So there are a lot of hurdles that the festive season poses, even though we want to give the best experience to our customers. Naturally, when it comes to some of the key hurdles that we see, fraud and spam and scam are at an all-time high during the festive season, which naturally affects the brand equity and the trust that you have with your customers. Additionally, like I already mentioned, customers are always looking for personalized experiences. And when they don't get them, they kind of start to feel disconnected from the brand. And we definitely don't want that to happen. Okay. There is also an issue of a poor follow-up, or poor, more less contextual awareness, because when you're trying to reach out through multiple mediums, it kind of ends up being a disintegrated or a disconnected sort of communication that you have with your customers. And it can also hurt the overall customer experience, right? So that brings us to the topic of the season, right? So how are we solving these issues? What can we do better to solve these issues, especially during the biggest sales window of the year? And this is where Truecaller's customer experience solutions can make all the difference for you, right? If you want to stand out during your festive season, if you want to offer more than a product, if you want to offer an entire experience to your consumers, and what is that one safe, trustworthy thing that you can do and you can personalize to your customers' needs, right? And here I will hand over to Pallav to take you through the four key pillars that we have built our solutions around and how it can help you during the festive season. Over to you, Pallav.
Thank you, Abhipsha, for setting the context of the conversation. So a lot of the facts that Abhipsha spoke about, right? Firstly, largely from a business point of view. So from a business point of view, of course, when we spoke to a lot of businesses in the last 4 years that Truecaller for Business has been into existence, a few things that stood out to us. So before we started trying to gauge what goes on and what are the specific expectations during the festive season that a business has, that's what you saw, which Abhipsha called out. Largely, they look at an ROI, they need an intelligence, they want to provide personalized experiences. Whereas on the customer side of things that tend to bug them is all the other reasons that she stated over there. So as we gathered all of these, what we felt is there are largely four pillars on which the solutioning that needs to be tied specifically of how do we build better experience for our consumers, and at the end of the day, which brings value to our brand. So the four pillars that we identified is, of course, visualization and contextualization. Specifically, I'm calling from a calling and an SMS perspective over here, which is largely a medium which is forgotten, and but people derive maximum value out of it. When you look at the overall omni-channel experience, there is notifications, there are emails, and there are a bunch of other things. But these are the two things where innovations have not actually happened, largely to build your customer experience. So our larger observation leaned on these four pillars, largely lying on visualization, contextualization, personalization experiences. How do you bring in actionability? Specifically, if you look at calling as a medium, or in fact, SMS as a medium, there's no actionability at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, everything should tie down to insights and feedbacks, which would actually make a business gauge what is the requirement of the user or the consumer that they are reaching out during this festive season specifically, as well as build solutions and build their overall communication strategy basis on that. So let's talk a little bit about visualization and contextualization. All right. So this is what a larger Truecaller experience looks like on the phone, right? When you receive a call, largely you would see the name, but that was largely our consumer experiences. Back in 2020, a lot of businesses actually started reaching out to us. And I'm just going to deep dive a little bit into the background to build the overall context, wherein genuine businesses were actually overlooked by consumers when they were trying to call them. And that's how we actually built our first hero product, which is the verified business caller ID, which largely added assurance that it's a trusted call. It displayed their name properly. It came with a green badge. And of course, it has all the trust signals like a specific take and other. And businesses, of course, who got onboarded with us, we have almost around 2,500 to 3,000 businesses who are working with us. They did that, which instantly helped them to build the whole concept of visualization. Along with that, what we also did was build the whole concept of adding contextualization through something which we call as call reason. Call reason actually lets a business project the reason for which they are calling in users, which gives the users instantly understand why X is calling me and what is the specific reason they are calling us from. Can we move to the next slide? But yeah, that was our plain and generic vanilla experience. What we then went on to do on top of it was building, can we move to the next slide? Enhanced visualization and contextualization with a new feature that we launched a year back, which is video caller ID. Currently, multiple brands are using a video caller ID to add more context to their calls, which of course helps them to add a visual contextualization. It could be reason, let's say, for example, and this is something that you own, right? If you are already using the verified caller ID, you have this space for yourself. Why not use videos to promote your products, your services, anything that you have as an offer could also be put out. Very different from an advertising point of view, but this is more about adding more relativity to that call. What we also did is, can you move to the next slide? Is also bring something known as verified message ID. So the messages that would be delivered, and this is only available for transactional messages. We specifically wanted to keep the experience for transactional messages over here. So any transactional messages that you have, you work with us, you get it onboarded with us, like any message ID that you have, SMS transaction ID with us, you get it whitelisted with us. And as soon as that happens is all your transactions will appear with a sticky notification, so that none of your users, when they receive transactional messages, do not miss out those important communication. Can we move to the next slide? Here are a few examples, specifically when I was calling out video caller ID. How brands are actually leveraging them and using it. Specifically during this festive season, one of the top automobile brand, MG Motors, is currently using video caller ID for their promotional to run their promotional videos for specifically people who have put in an inquiry for the new car they are launching. We have just put in one video. They have done a series of videos like these, which has helped them to improve the overall connectivity that they are trying to make with their customer, as well as add that enhanced context that we are calling you for your inquiry specifically regarding this car. They have done this across cars so that they are able to add specific touches of contextualization when they reach out to. Similar thing was also done by Angel One. Angel Smart One launched one of their new campaigns, which is called the Trade Smart, specifically with the overall trading experience. So as soon as you finish your KYC, they would actually give you a verification call and they run this video on top of it. Same thing was done by a real estate player. They have launched a couple of properties in Goa at this point of time, Nanded and others. So during the overall calling experience, they added the beautiful videos, which actually helped them to ramp up their overall sales process during the festive season. Can we move to the next slide? Now, moving to personalization. So the next piece that we wanted to solve, and which was the ask of the market, was specifically around personalization around calls. So when I talked about contextualization adding call reason was very static as an experience when we begin, right? But what we also realized, different companies actually want to have dynamic call reasons when they are actually trying to reach out to their customers. They wanted to personalize that experience. So now let's take as an example, you are a delivery company, right? You might be doing delivery, and I'm just taking a delivery as a use case. It could be for other use cases too. If you are doing your last mile delivery, and you are a 3PL delivery partner for any of the top e-commerce brand or any of the D2C brands, a lot of times when you call, even if you are verified with us and you the customer at the end of the day receives a verified call, they are not able to understand that why is this person actually calling me. I have ordered from XYZ brand. The expectation is that this brand will reach out to them. In this case, what brands could do is, we have our APIs and webhooks. Largely, this is API driven. Through that, they can actually set dynamic call reasons for a specific user. This could be completely customized with definitive the integers that values that we have defined of the character limits and other things. Depending on that, that specific message can be relayed into their customer. So this adds a next layer of personalization when you are trying to do reach outs, or any brand is trying to do a reach out to their customers and give them that experience that we are doing this specifically for you, largely solving the two layers of it, which is, of course, the first is around contextualization along with visualized cues, then following it up with another experience which is more personalized for them. Can we move to the next slide? Now, let's talk a little bit about actionability. The only piece specifically in this overall calling and SMS experiences, people always talk about, it's very difficult to track. Is there actually any actionability? Is there something that can be done? Because which is completely something that is unheard, or something that has never been actually been there. So I would like to request Rick, who's the principal product manager with us and who has actually worked on this product and developed this, to talk a little bit more and give more insights how brands can actually leverage this to drive ROI.
Thanks, Pallav. Thanks. Yeah. Next slide. I'll quickly take you guys through like a quick background about this product and how we kind of came to kind of conceptualize this product, and how this is going to help our customers kind of get specific actionability from their target audiences as well. So as Pallav and Navipsha kind of gave a lot of context around visualization and contextualization plus personalization, right? We use these two as like base layers in terms of like, how do we want to kind of structure this out, and on top of that added actionability on top of calling and messaging as a medium. If you see across the industry, these are a couple of channels which have not been disrupted over the years, and we took this problem statement to our customers about like 6 months back in terms of understanding how do we improve this experience for their end users. And what we came up with this new product called verified campaigns. What verified campaigns allows you to do is add meaningful visual cues at the end of the call or a messaging experience that a Truecaller user receives, and show them very contextually relevant content coming from your own the specific brand who's reaching out to our end customers. So all these campaigns that are shown to users appear on the post call experience, or it can also appear on the messaging screens as well, that are for transactional use cases. These will be contextually relevant. That means that the brand which is reaching out to the end user they will be promoting or showing their own specific campaigns and content to those end users. These can also be very hyper targeted at a receiver number level. What this means is brands can utilize their own segmentation and own data models that they have already created within their customer engagement platforms in terms of hyper targeting specific messages that needs to be shown to a specific user at a very given point of time. Verified campaigns allows businesses to kind of utilize the hyper targeted mechanism framework directly from their customer engagement platforms. The third piece is having different templates based on specific use cases. Across industries, there might be different use cases that brands might be reaching out to their customers for. It could be for a life cycle communication use case. Say for a bank, it might be KYC updates. For even within banks, there might be another scenario that they want to upsell or cross sell specific products, financial products to them as well. So we have different template styles which are dynamic in nature and which can be utilized by different businesses in terms of what they want to communicate to their end users. Next slide. Let's take a real example, as I was mentioning about in this scenario. The central bank RM is trying to call their end customer. On the left hand side, the screen is what the plain vanilla offering that we have with the verified badging, with the specific call reason why they're reaching out to that customer. On top of this, if you were to kind of integrate verified campaigns as a solutioning, the brand can actually share more contextual communication on top of the caller ID screen as well, and post the call. Once the call is kind of disconnected, either answered or rejected, there can be custom campaigns that are run for that end user. And on the right hand side, if you see the screenshot there, we have direct deep link configurations which are possible in terms of opening specific category or brand specific products pages within a third party app, or also within a third party landing page. This can actually take the user in terms of capturing the user intention or the lead itself. We can also add specific UTM source codes within these parameters in terms of tracking where the lead is originating from, and that will help you identify the entire user journey, starting from your customer engagement platform where you're starting like pushing the data form, in terms of the entire journey being completed, in terms of users taking specific actions on your application, along with how you can track specific user attributes based on the source code tracking as well. Last slide. In terms of campaigns, this is already live, and we have already integrated with a couple of our customers on the calling experience as well. And we have now recently opened this up for early access on the messaging screens as well. And we are working on expanding this to the details view or the business page experience that's expected to launch later in Q4. With that, I'll turn it back to Pallav for the next slides.
Thanks, Rick. The other addition that we also have is that this can be easily integrated with your existing CEP platforms. It could be any of the popular ones that you have in the market. You could name it like CleverTap, MoEngage, WebEngage. In fact, your internals, if you have an internal product which largely works as your CEP platform, it can be done. It's very easy to integrate. We have webhooks which could be easily integrated, and while you do your segmentation and build your overall campaign canvas, it could be just another source over there so that you can start running these campaigns. Specifically, if you look at calling an SMS, where there are not a lot of innovations happening, you can basically, being a verified business, you could add the extra layer through which you can actually drive ROI over here. And our team is there. We are happy to talk about also a little bit of the use cases that can be worked on. Like it could be talking from a fintech perspective, it could be from e-commerce perspective. Then you also have BFSI, delivery. There are some interesting use cases that we have cooked up. We are already at a phase where we have early implemented with a couple of our customers across the business ecosystem. If you guys are interested, we are happy to talk more about it, and at the end also take more questions about it. All right, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about insights and feedback for a business. a customer's journey is largely around the three pillars that we talked about. But one of the most important aspects of this pillar is insights and feedback. As they said, some wise men say feedback is the breakfast of champions, right? And insights is what helps you to drive these, right? Because you need specific actionable points to work on. Can we move to the next slide? So taking those cues, what we have built is a very, very specific feature that we have on the verified experience, verified calling experience, something which is called as the call me back feature. So this specifically gives you an user intent around when, in case they are not able to receive a call. A lot of times a business would also lose track of it. In their CRM, they'll mark it when to call, how to call. There's no intelligent insight around that. So think about it. If you are making 1,000 calls, or any of your agents are making these 1,000 calls, specifically, it could be for a query, it could be for a sales, or it could be for service, any use case, right? If a user gives you that intent when they actually want to talk to you, it's a fantastic ROI that you can drive, or I would not say an ROI of sorts, but largely an overall intent that you can drive specifically to know intelligently when to do. This will actually help you. It improves the overall agent productivity. It helps you also to get an understanding of when to call them, so that the experience is always managed. And this could be actually integrated with an webhook into your CRM systems, so that whenever somebody is making this call, get that specific input when they need to call them. Can we move to the next slide? And what we have also added on top of it is something which is coming very soon, which will be available in our next launch cycle sometime very soon, is the slot picking options. So we'll in fact add, and this is basis all the feedback that we have received from businesses and customers, also their customers, in fact, whom they are calling, is that giving a specific cue around a timeline is not actually good. It's good in a way, but if you give us a specific slot in which the customer would actually want this, so that's something that our product team picked up, and this should be available very, very soon. Can we move to the next slide? And in fact, one of the bigger fintech brands in India, Angel One, which is also in the trading space, has almost seen a 12% uplift in their conversion on their call me back capability. So in case their users, they make 1,000 calls, they have almost seen a ramp up of almost 12% on specifically on those calls, which has led to conversion. It's not just picking up their calls, but it has led to more conversions for them as a brand using this feature. Can we move to the next slide? Now let's talk about feedback. One of my favorite topics, which I always talk about. We also have enabled on your after call screen, which we call, which appears post the call has gone through. It could be for an answered call, and again, the previous experience was specifically for a missed or a rejected call. This option can be enabled for your received calls, as well as in case it's a missed call too. This could be enabled in the after call screen, wherein people can add feedback, and it could be in form of ratings, it could be from a specific question with options, or it could be also a manual input too. So again, various use cases can be driven through that. It can be specifically getting inputs on your process enhancement, NPS score, CX trainings. In the past also, if you think about any survey tools, they globally, right, they have an average engagement of around 3 to 4%. What people have seen using this feature is an enhanced engagement, specifically from customers when they have run feedback and surveys. Can we move to the next slide? Now, what I'll try to do is we'll try to think of a situation and see how all of these actually pan out. All the four pillars that we talked about, and we'll try to map a specific instance. We have taken e-commerce, but happy to talk about other how other businesses can do this during this season, and define some instances where each of these capabilities, functionalities, or features, however you would want to call it, could be used to drive value and bring in more better experience to your customers, and in turn also drive ROI for the business. Can we move to the next slide? Awesome. So let's take an example of CentroCart. So CentroCart is an e-commerce website, right? So let's say you go to that website, you buy something, and then let's say you tap for pay, and now your order is confirmed. So now there are various ways, and when you talk about visualization and contextualization, right? So let us suppose as soon as you select the product, and let's say here in this case you have taken a COD experience. So one of the major problems with COD is RTO, right? So let's say the brand actually wants to give you and do that confirmation for that. So if you can see on the screen, they have added a video caller ID with which, along with the call reason, calling you for your COD order confirmation. So this adds that whole angle of visualization along with the contextualization of a product or a similar product could be also put on video caller ID, which could be showed, followed by when the order is also confirmed, you get an order confirmation SMS. It could be an OTP also, which could appear as a sticky SMS since it's a transactional SMS on your phone on Truecaller, followed by the personalization angle, which we talked about. Let's say when you have bought from Centrocart, Central Logistics is doing the delivery. Now, let's say it's a different brand, though we have named it in a way. Now, there are different use cases for which they are delivering different person, right? So, and there are different stages also for this, that person might be calling you for. Let's say calling you for your order confirmation, that guy is out, that when you will be there at your home. Let's say he makes you a call. Let's say he reaches your home and is waiting at the doorstep with your order. He gives you a call, right? At that point of time also, different personalized call reasons could be added, which could actually help to build the overall experience as well as personalize the whole journey for this. Can we move to the next slide? Yes. Then add actionability to it, which Rick talked about using verified campaigns. Let us suppose the delivery is done, right? And you add and welcome gift to it. It could be some money in your wallet. Let's say in case Centrocart has a wallet of sorts. So you can add that as a specific campaign so that people can use that, and which will bring in more stickiness to your overall platform. People will come back and order more, increase your loyalty. It could be used during your delivery also. Let's say there is an SMS which confirms the delivery of it, which you are using with verified SMS, right? On top of it also, you can run these banners to bring people back to your platform. And again, as Rick talked about, it could be a deep link which could bring into your app. It could be an UTM which can bring to their website, whichever way you would want to do that. Similar way, what can be also done specifically is with insights and feedback is the other two features, which is the call me back feature as well as the user feedback. The overall buying to delivery experience can be mapped using surveys over here. In case, let us say there is a verification call while you have signed up on the platform, right? You might have not submitted, you might have dropped in between. So if that happens, in that case also, you can get a call back and talk. And when that executive actually called for that, you are busy, you missed that call. In that case, you could also do an overall call me using the call me back capability. You can actually schedule that call or give them an intent when you would actually want to receive this call. So that's how typically an overall e-commerce journey can actually leverage during the festive season using the overall verified calling experience as well as the SMS experience, which we call our customer experience solution. Largely, each of these capabilities are mapped according to all the four pillars, and they can help you to drive value. With that, I will end, and I will of course open up for questions. Here are almost 2,500 plus businesses that work with us, you name it, which is across BFSI, fintech, large enterprises, digital natives, all of sorts. And this is globally, a lot of businesses are working with us to drive customer experience. And we are more than happy to talk with you as well as answer your questions in ways how we can solve the experience for you too. That's all from our side. And thanks to Ozontel for organizing this. We are happy to talk more about and take your questions. Yes, let's do that. Amir, we can pick up some questions. We have time, right?
Yes, Pallab. So there is one which we can kind of answer. If
The
you can see
question
in the
is,
chat.
for someone who is using verified, how do they go about leveraging these functionalities? Can they opt one of them for business objective, or they do have to go for all? I think the question is by, see the name. Okay. Yes, you can. You can use either of them or all of them. It totally depends on you. It actually depends on where your pain point is and across these stages. So you can map a specific capability and use it at that. And yes, I think that should be it. Anything you would want to add, Rick?
Yeah, I think you summed it up correctly. All these functionalities can be taken individually as well, and where for specific use cases, specific scenarios come in. Like for example, the call me back functionality can be only for rejected or unanswered calls. Specific campaigns can be run on the answered scenario. So there can be different permutations, combinations that can be used. So all these the features that we showcased in today's event, all these are intercompatible. It's just that based on specific use cases, brands might want to use those for specific scenarios.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to put it in. We will be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, there's one question where it says, as the festival is mostly, let's say, for e-commerce or someone who are into D2C or manufacturing, how does probably a BFSI brand, right? I think you kind of talked about one. I think one is Angel One as one of the case study. But let's say if not a trading, but they may be a fintech or I think maybe a bank or a NBFCs. How do they leverage it? Any stories around that, right?
Yes, I'm not going to name a brand,
Yeah, yeah,
but
without a brand. Yeah.
yes, I'm not naming the brand specifically. So this is one of India's top banks. So they ran a specific campaign during this period, specifically around the interest rate that they were doing around personal loans, right? So they had a specific offer that they wanted to run, and they actually used this scenario. So see, your marketing and your larger campaign needs has to be the base around which this needs to be built up, like for any industry, right? Let's say, and I'll speak specifically and then I'll draw the parallel also. So what they did was, one way was the first step of it. They were using multiple channels to reach out to their customers, right? So there was email, there was SMS, they would do RCS, all of that they were doing. Along with that, there was an outbound team. They knew these are the pool of people who have expressed interest on their website for personal loan. So while they were making their call, so the first piece, which is visualization and contextualization, they specifically run video caller ID with the specific offer, right? They would reach out to calls which actually held them. The next step was when they actually were reaching out to them, they would call them with specific call reason that was to largely personalize them, and they actually leverage the full stack of it. Verified campaigns, it's recently launched, so of course they did not use it, and I'll say how they could have used it is now it's available to them. They are actually planning to use it. How they are planning to do it is when they are at an intent stage, when their KYC and other things are there, they are going to parallelly cross sell other products. So they are going to sell their credit card offers, specifically run on these people, because they know these people already have a requirement for money, or money from a personal loan point of view. Why not cross sell them our credit card offers also, which they have launched a card very recently. They are specifically cross selling that. And when I talk about call me back and user feedback they are specifically using when the overall loan process has been approved. Post that, they wanted to take feedback of the overall experience they are using it. And call me back, they have actually used across all these stages whenever somebody misses that call, to largely get an input when they would actually want to have that conversation, because for them they are basically inside their overall loan funnel and they would actually want to convert them. So they are basically actually using that very tactically to know the timing when they would actually want to reach out to them. So yeah, that's an example.
Thanks, Palak. I think there is one more question.
Sure.
We just, I think, have 2 more minutes. So I think we can take this as a last question, which is, will all these features work on iOS, right? iPhone app?
I will let Rick take this one, being the product person.
Yeah, yeah. So all these features do not work on iOS right now. Uh, that being said, there's improvements which Apple has announced recently in the WWDC that happened in Barcelona earlier this year. And later this year, we are actually collaborating with the Apple team in terms of bringing some of these features and functionalities within the iOS experience as well. But at this point, all the functionalities that we kind of spoke about are available only on Android.
Just to add on to that, we currently have 260 million monthly active users in India who are on Android and who are using on the Truecaller platform, right? So what we have seen typically with our data among the calling that you tend to do, 1 in 7 calls will of course land on a Truecaller. So from a spread as well as a reach point of view, we are almost there. But of course, as Rick mentioned, I think there would be some interesting updates that should be coming for the larger ecosystem by the end of this year and early next year, which wherein we would be also able to confidently talk about how we are bringing a better iOS experience for you.
Okay, I think that's it from a question perspective, and I think we are bang on time, 4:45. So thank you everyone for joining. Right, I think someone asked that will we get a presentation. I think we will kind of share by removing the confidential information, the presentation as well as the recording, right? So that you can, if you have missed any key points, you can access to it. Before you kind of this thing go, we just wanted to get your thoughts. You can just respond to this poll. Based on this, we'll keep sharing any updates, any more right launches. Yeah, that's it. I think thank you everyone for your time. Stay tuned for probably further updates or further joint sessions, right, as we progress, probably sometime in the first half of next year, and probably we'll do some more just before the festival as well, right? Next year as well. Thank you everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.